The argument against President Bush was about a president and an administration that sent us into a war based on a false representation of the threat of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. That's a major accusation against the president. And I myself said that at the time, in 2002 when the bill came up.
All right, folks, welcome to Gimme 5. Nancy Pelosi yesterday, asked about Sarah Palin, who said that they should impeach President Obama. She was talking about how Boehner has kind of encouraged that kind of talk. But she, Nancy Pelosi, even though President Bush should have been impeached or could have been impeached, she would not hear of it, even though he was a bad, bad president. And there could have been charges brought against him. Here's more.
The intelligence does not support the threat that the president is, not the president, his administration is contending. Having said that, it's not about impeaching the president. It's about putting the country through that. I thought what the Republicans did to President Clinton was shameful, irresponsible, and wrong for the country. And what he did was stupid, but it had nothing to do with public policy and his office, his responsibility and his office.
Well, that's certainly up for debate. If you perjure yourself before a federal grand jury, some might say that it does have something to do with being the President of the United States. But that aside, let's focus on the issue at hand here. Nancy Pelosi now is going to talk about back in '07, what the atmosphere was, what the considerations were for impeaching President George W. Bush, but she was having none of it, and she'll tell you why.
I do think people could have made a case about President Bush, but I did not want to go down that path because of what it would mean for the American people. We just tried to impeach, well, we did impeach, but did not remove from office one president in a very irresponsible manner, in my view, on the part of the Republicans in the House at the time. And I thought it was time for us to address, try to end that war, which to do, and President vetoed our bill, but to deal with it on in a policy way, rather than to take us down that path.
Okay, so there you go. She wasn't for impeaching George W. Bush, and hey. That's fine. I don't think. First of all, she's making a big accusation here that the president lied and knew that there were no weapons of mass destruction and lied us into war. I don't believe that for a half a second. Here's more.
So for even the Republicans now to be talking about suing the president, what are we talking about here? Let's get to work. We are legislators. They're not effective legislators, so they're changing the subject all the time. But the fact is, and it comes to executive orders, President Reagan had 381 executive orders. President George W. Bush had 291. President Obama has 181 with 2 years to go in his term. So this is again subterfuge. It's a distraction. It's I don't know how to do what I'm supposed to do here, so let me think of something else to do. It's totally irresponsible of them to be suing the president.
Really? Okay. And Nancy Pelosi is either ill-informed or playing a game. It's not about the number of executive orders. It's what those orders are. It's selective enforcement of existing laws, which the president does not have a right to do. You can't pick and choose. Only Congress can make and change laws. Finally.
And the reason, to get back to your question, I did not encourage those who wanted to move to impeach the president, although they had an argument, was that it wasn't something that I wanted to put the country through. It's an opportunity cost of great magnitude in terms of what we are here to do to meet the needs of the people. It's a cost to our reputation in the world that we get a new president and we'll find a reason to impeach him. Although I would say the case against what the Republican administration did, taking us into war, and what they knew was a false premise, was far more serious than anything that Bill Clinton did in his off hours.
All right, it wasn't his off hours. I'd like to see Nancy Pelosi prove that on the Steve Malzberg Show.